What if I told you that the biggest lie in personal finance isn't about investing, budgeting, or even debt? It's about your mortgage. That 30-year mortgage you signed? The one that feels normal, responsible, even smart? What if I told you it's designed to keep you paying for your house for decades longer than necessary, and that you could realistically wipe it out in just 7 years, without earning a six-figure salary, without winning the lottery, and without living like a monk? Sounds impossible, right? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly how people are quietly doing this and how you can too. Let's start with something most people never question. When you take out a 30-year mortgage, you're not just paying for your house. You're paying for time. And time is expensive. In fact, over those 30 years, you can easily pay double the price of your home once interest is added in. That means if your house costs $200,000, you might end up paying $350,000 or more. That extra money, it doesn't build your life. It doesn't grow your wealth. It just disappears into interest. Now here's where things get interesting. The bank structures your payments so that in the early years, most of your monthly payment goes toward interest, not your actual loan balance. So even though you're paying every month, your debt barely moves at first. That's why after 5 or even 10 years, people are shocked to see how little they've actually paid off. But here's the secret most people never realize. The system is rigid, but your strategy doesn't have to be. Paying off a mortgage in 7 years isn't about making massive, impossible payments. It's about changing how and when you pay. Small shifts, done consistently, can completely flip the script. Let me show you the mindset shift first, because this is where everything begins. Instead of thinking, how can I afford my monthly payment? You start asking, how can I reduce my interest exposure? Because every extra dollar you put toward the principal doesn't just reduce your balance, it also cuts future interest. That's where the magic starts. One of the simplest strategies, and one of the most powerful, is making extra principal payments, but not randomly, intentionally. Even adding just one extra full payment per year can shave years off your mortgage. And if you break that down, it's not as scary as it sounds. One extra payment per year is basically adding a small amount to each monthly payment. But here's where people go wrong. They stop there. That alone might turn 30 years into 25, which is good, but not life-changing. If you want to compress that timeline down to 7 years, you have to stack strategies. Another powerful move is switching to bi-weekly payments. Instead of paying once a month, you pay half your mortgage every 2 weeks. It sounds small, but because there are 52 weeks in a year, you end up making 26 half payments. That's 13 full payments instead of 12. One extra payment every year, automatically. Again, this alone isn't enough to get you to 7 years. But now you're starting to build momentum. Now let's talk about something most people overlook completely. Income optimization. I'm not talking about getting rich. I'm talking about redirecting money you already earn. Think about raises, bonuses, side income, tax refunds. What usually happens to that money? It disappears. Lifestyle upgrades, random spending, things that don't really move your life forward. But what if, just for a few years, you redirected all of that toward your mortgage? This is where the timeline starts collapsing fast. Let's say you get a small raise. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle, you keep living the same way and send that extra money straight to your loan. Same with bonuses. Same with any extra income stream. You're not depriving yourself forever. You're just accelerating your freedom. Because that's what this really is. Freedom. Now I know what you might be thinking. This sounds intense. And you're right. It does require discipline. But here's the part people don't talk about enough. It's temporary. 7 years. 7 years of focused effort to eliminate what is usually a 30-year burden. After that, No mortgage, no massive monthly obligation. Your cash flow opens up in a way most people never experience. Imagine what that does for your life. Investing becomes easier. Stress drops. Your options expand. You're no longer tied down by one of the biggest financial commitments there is. Now let's go deeper, because there's another layer to this strategy that separates people who succeed from those who don't. Tracking and intention. You can't just hope to pay off your mortgage early. You need to see your progress. Every extra payment should feel like a win. Because it is. You're literally buying back your future, one payment at a time. And there's a psychological shift that happens when you start seeing your balance drop faster than expected. It becomes addictive, in a good way. You start looking for more ways to accelerate. Cutting unnecessary expenses doesn't feel like sacrifice anymore. It feels like strategy. And speaking of expenses, let's clear something up. This isn't about cutting everything you enjoy. It's about cutting what doesn't matter. There's a difference. You don't need to eliminate happiness from your life. But you do need to get honest about where your money is going. Because most people aren't stuck because they don't earn enough. They're stuck because their money leaks in 100 small, unnoticed ways. Plug those leaks, and suddenly you have more power than you thought. Now here's one of the most overlooked strategies of all: refinancing strategically. Not just to get a lower payment, but to shorten your loan term. If you can refinance into a 15-year mortgage while maintaining or slightly increasing your payment, you dramatically reduce the interest you'll pay. Combine that with extra payments, and now you're really accelerating. But timing matters. You don't want to refinance blindly. You want to do it when rates make sense and when you're committed to the plan. Because this only works if you stay consistent. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. There's no hack, no shortcut, no magic trick. It's a system, a strategy, a series of decisions made over and over again. But here's the good news. It's completely doable. You don't need to be rich. You don't need a perfect situation. You just need clarity and consistency. And once you start, something powerful happens. You stop feeling like your mortgage controls you, and you start controlling it. That shift alone changes everything. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about paying off a house. It's about changing your relationship with money. It's about realizing that the normal path isn't the only path, and definitely not the best one. Most people will stay in their mortgage for 30 years because that's what they were told to do. But you're here, watching this, which means you're already thinking differently, and that's where it starts. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Your mortgage doesn't have to define the next 30 years of your life. With the right strategy, the right mindset, and consistent action, you can compress decades into just a few years. 7 years. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. And the question isn't whether it can be done. The question is whether you're ready to do it.